Scar. I had a dream. It was early evening, or maybe it was dawn. I am not sure, but the sky seemed somehow white. I was standing at the entrance of a house I did not know at all. It was the kind of house that my grandparents used to live in once upon a time, with a sliding door made of polished glass. On the left side of the sliding door is an old-fashioned doorbell push-button. I have no idea which house this is, but in my dream I press the doorbell button. An unfriendly sound comes from behind the glass door. It is still dark at this time of night, and no one would wake up. I was about to leave, wondering to myself why I had pushed the button. But my legs remained frozen to the spot. I could see a figure behind the polished glass. I could see a figure in a whitish nightgown moving toward me. I could not see it clearly, but it seemed to be an old man. Hello, who is it? I hear the sound of an old woman's voice coming from inside, and then the sound of a lock being unlocked. Behind the polished glass, another face is vaguely visible. It is an old woman with a white head and short hair. Her nightgown, which I thought was white, seems to be a light sky blue. I could do nothing but stand there, unable to say anything in response to the old woman's call. What should I do? Someone had really come. It was still dark at that time of the day. I must be a suspicious person. What would I say if the police were to call the police and accuse me of something I did not want to be accused of? What would I say to get out of the situation? All these thoughts flashed through my mind in an instant. Yes, I was drunk and had mistakenly come to this house for someone else's house. Let's put it that way. The moment the sliding door opened, I would make a surprised face, apologize profusely, and run away. Just as I was about to make up my mind to do so, I heard a rattling sound and the sliding door opened to the side. I looked at the old woman, trying my best to make an expression of surprise and astonishment. She was looking at me with a straight face. Who is it? Oh, no, that's not right. Isn't this S house? No, sir. Well, it looks like I've been in the wrong house. I apologize for the hour. I'll leave you now. Wait. The old woman's hand gripped my left wrist. The old woman's hand grabbed my left wrist. She was as thin as a dead tree, a small old woman, but she had tremendous strength. The old woman says in a strange accent, that would be a lie, and with a blank expression, she puts all her strength into the hand that grabs my left hand. I can feel her nails digging in. It hurts. I quickly twist my wrist, trying to shake her off. Wait. The old woman showed her teeth, yelled, and scratched me with all her might. She scratched me on the wrist of my left hand, which I had put forward to shield my face. The old lady peeled her eyes and let out a huffing and groaning sound as she clenched her teeth and arched her back. She appeared ferocious, a far cry from the expressionless face she had shown earlier. I ran out to get away from this crazy old woman. I was desperate. I told her to wait. The old woman said in a low, croaky voice and leapt at me. I must have been no more than 5 steps away when I turned on my heel from the front door. I felt a pain in my shirt under my jacket, on my right side. The old woman's fingers dug into my side. I forced the old woman who was chasing me to pull away and somehow managed to run away. As I pulled it off, I was sure I felt a fingernail, middle finger or something, catch on the side of my armpit and scratch a line. Wow, he shouted. I woke up with a loud cry. My family members jumped up in surprise. My wife said to me, Dad, what's wrong? My children were also looking into my face. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I just had a bad dream. What kind of dream? I dreamed that I went to a stranger's house in the middle of the night, rang the doorbell, and an angry old lady came out and scratched me. It's weird. I've been drinking too much. I'm still a little stale. Oh, sorry. That's when it happened. I felt a pain in my side. Remembering the dream I had just had, I gulped down a mouthful of saliva. Another bead of sweat drips from my forehead. No way. I fearfully checked my left wrist. The wrist was discolored like a bruise, as if someone had grabbed it tightly, and several short scratches ran diagonally parallel to each other. I also had to check my abdomen, which had been jarred just then. Fearfully, I turned up Jinbei's jacket, which he was wearing as a nightgown, and pulled up the underwear inside. There was a 5 centimeter long, thick scratch-like scar running down the middle of his body. He wondered if he had done it unconsciously while he was asleep. How could he have so dexterously and unconsciously made such a terrible wound in the exact same location as in the dream, and yet remain asleep until morning without noticing the pain? Both wounds were still fresh and hurt terribly when I touched them with my fingers or rubbed the cloth on them. They were so painful that I could not even take a bath until they were completely scabbed over, and I had to wipe myself with a wet towel. If this is all, it may have been nothing more than a series of coincidences. However, several strange things continued to happen after that. First, the cats in the neighborhood were acting strangely. The landlord's family lives next door to the apartment where our family lives. When he sees us, he meows and rubs up against us, and on days when he is in a good mood, he even lets us pet him on his back. My wife, who is allergic to cats, does not seem to appreciate it when my daughters and I pet the cat. My wife, who is allergic to cats, doesn't seem to appreciate it when my daughters and I pet cats. The other day, when I saw him in the parking lot on our property, he just looked at me from a distance and did not come any closer. When I tried to get closer to her, calling her name, she turned her ears back, arched her back, looked me in the eye, and shrieked at me threateningly. It may have been a bad day, but I had never seen such a thing before. The sight of the menacing cat reminded me of the fierce old lady I had seen in my dream, and I felt a chill. I then went to my family doctor for something completely different than the scarring. Once a month or so, I have to have a prescription for medicine while being warned about my eating habits and so on. When it came time to apply the stethoscope, I pulled up my top underwear and saw the scar. What's wrong with it? It's a terrible injury. I had a bad dream and when I woke up, it was on. I had a bad dream and when I woke up it was on. I see. Here's another one. Here is my left wrist. Was this also a scar from the same time? I think so. The doctor suddenly became silent. The doctor, who had been looking at the wound silently for a while, prefaced his comment with, "I'm not a specialist, but," and then said. He said, "Do you have a cat at your house?" No, we don't. My wife is allergic to cats. My wife is allergic to cats, and we can't have pets in our current apartment. Then it's not an animal. Yes, I don't remember being scratched by an animal. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I just couldn't help thinking that it looked like a scratch made by an animal. Well, let me give you some ointment to prevent it from festering. Why did the teacher say animals, and why did he say cats first? It was so weird that I didn't ask him any more, and I still don't know why he said it. Finally, there is one more thing I don't understand. I usually drive more than an hour each way to work. I am concerned about my lack of exercise, so on my days off, I take a stroll around the neighborhood. That day I went out to buy cigarettes. I chose a street that I don't usually take and walked around. There, I found it. There was an old house between a low, empty building with a sign that read office for rent and an unpaved, weedy parking lot. It was a street I rarely traveled. And yet, I clearly recognized the old house. It must have been the house where I had met the old woman in my dream at that hazy time. I don't know if it was dusk or dawn. So, what I had seen and experienced was not a dream, but reality. However, it is a road that is hard to think of passing by on the way home from a night of drinking. I had no recollection of passing through this area recently. I approached the house with trepidation. There seemed to be no nameplate on the door. The sliding glass door was exactly the same as the one I had seen in my dream. The old-fashioned doorbell was attached to the left side of the door. The only difference from the dream is that there is a yellow and black striped rope around the entrance. From the looks of it, no one would be living there, I told myself. My heart was racing. I was scared. I was afraid, but I was too anxious to leave without checking. I slowly reached for the doorbell button with my left index finger. It did not ring. It seemed not to be energized. It was dusk, and although the houses around me were lit, it was pitch black here. No cars were parked, and weeds were growing freely on the property. This house is vacant. This is a vacant house. Still, I came here at the time of day or night, and sure enough, I summoned that old woman. Who was she? I felt a gaze on me, and when I looked up, I saw a pitch-black stray cat with yellow eyes staring at me. It has been 2 weeks since then, but the scars still remain on my left wrist and right side. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to the end.